Welcome to Shining the Light. My name is S.E. Walibwa, and my guest today is one and the only, Samad Davis. How are you, my brother?
Great in you.
Samad is an entrepreneur, content creator. He is in film financing and distribution, a philanthropist, a Pan-Africanist, a leader of note, and above all, a family man. My brother.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you very much. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great in you.
Man, it looks like you've been doing. I've been following you. I just want to know how you've been handling this pandemic. Because a lot of people have gone under. But there's a say that during hard times, great people or hard people are created. I don't know. You probably
you're
already great.
Right.
You're already
absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur finds a way. Entrepreneur finds a way, and there's a saying, you build the plane as you fly it. Build it as you fly it. So the world has changed right before our eyes, and we all have to either adapt to it or get left behind, right?
Right.
And I don't think this pandemic is going anywhere anytime soon. So with that being said, you have to strategize and figure out the way forward under the circumstances. And that's what, I've been able to do and continue to do.
Wow. Before we delve deep, let's go back a little bit to your background.
Okay.
I heard and I read somewhere that you were born in the New York area. There's also a say that if you have never been to New York, you have never been to America. I don't know how true is that.
Well, that's fair to say. Of course, you've been to America, but New York New York encompasses everything. You see, I'm from New Jersey, New Jersey, which is, think of if there was South Africa, I would say Johannesburg to Pretoria.
Yeah,
but two separate states. So it's two different states. We're a river divides us from the city of Manhattan. But I'm from Newark, New Jersey. My father's from Newark, New Jersey. My mother's from New York City, from Harlem in the Bronx area. So I grew up going from
both sides.
The holidays were split. The day was split in half. We do the first half in New Jersey, then we go to New York City. So It's all the same greater area. We call it the tri-state area. But if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, because every nationality in the world is represented in New York City, some form of fashion.
Right. So how was it like, compared to now? I know even I'm gonna take you back to the era, because I know that you when you were growing up, you came up during when hip hop was really on the rise. I'm not sure if it's still on the rise, right?
Well, hip hop, I've been around long enough to see the evolution.
Right.
Naturally, I'm not that old. I wasn't here when hip hop first started.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah.
But I have been able to enjoy.
But when you were like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah, I remember Run DMC. Run DMC was at his prime. I remember all of that stuff,
Right.
And then you watch the evolution of hip hop from the late 80s to 90s hip hop to, beginning of the 90s, mid 90s, and the end of the 90s into the 2000s. You just watch the different genres change and change and change to where we have to where we are today. And it's an interesting time to be alive.
Right. And I'm asking that because in your early films, I guess even in your current films, but your early films, you were using hip hop, like Dirty Game. It's sort of kind of driven by hip hop.
We always use hip hop. You can't make anything creative, any content without music. Music is, they're first cousins. Film and TV. You can't bring a scene to life without music. You can't put a cool trailer together without music. You need music. It's not complete without music. So there's a very very interesting relationship, quite knit relationship between producing content and music. You know, so
Wow.
even now this morning, I'm dealing with different artists and curating music for another series we're doing to see what rights we can get for certain music, because you need to have your music in order for when it comes time to edit your films or your TV series. You got to place the right music.
Right.
So we're good without it.
Right. So, Samar, where did you get the spirit of entrepreneurship? Because if I remember well, you didn't actually, you know, go around and looking for a job. Like you study your own barber shop, get into real estate, and so forth. Where do you get the spirit of entrepreneurship? Because I think it's very important.
No, absolutely. I come from a line of, my father's a lawyer,
Okay.
but he's always had his own practice. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs,
Yes,
and for
sir.
me, it's just in my core. I never had a regular job. I never had a regular job, and I think being a barber, I learned how to be a barber by happenstance. My father bought some clippers. He said that the barbershop was too expensive for me and my brother. He
Uh
bought some clippers, and he took it upon himself to cut our hair himself,
huh. Wow.
and he messed our hair up. And my brother, my older brother, said never again will he cut my hair. So he learned how to cut his hair himself.
Mm.
Okay? And to this day, he's never been to a barbershop. He's 51.
Wow.
But now, here's the thing. When we were young, he would say, hey, he's OCD, so he doesn't, if he took a shower, he doesn't want to get hair on him after he took a shower. So he wouldn't cut my hair. He would say, figure it out yourself. So I had to learn to cut my own hair, which translated into me cutting hair to my friends and family around in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I formally learned how to be a licensed barber. And I worked my way into a barber shop where I would rent my chair, meaning I would pay the owner for my chair. So all the money that I would make would be mine, but I'll pay him a weekly fee to rent the chair. And I just grew my clientele. Through growing my clientele, I was able to open my own barbershop. Also, through that process, one of my clients was into construction, an older gentleman. And that older gentleman will always tell me about real estate. And everyone loves their barber, right? So everyone talks to their barber. And I asked him, I said, mentor me into real estate. I want to learn. And you talk in 1995. And so he did. And he helped me get my first piece of property to fix up. And I flipped that. And I went on to the next and the next and the next. And at the same time, it allowed me to have enough capital to open up a restaurant. So I opened up a restaurant in New Jersey. That went really, really well. And then I opened up one in Harlem, New York. That same upbringing, right?
Right.
From Newark to running to Harlem, on holidays. So I opened up one in New York on 125th Street in Harlem, and it got to a certain point. I realized I wasn't happy with. I felt like I was a slave to the restaurants. It wasn't my true. I was still trying to find what's next for me.
Right.
I just got so busy. I got out of the barbershop business. I sold my barbershop because I was still in the real estate. I had these two restaurants. But my manager who I had running my New Jersey restaurant, 18 months prior, he had to resign because he was going to film school. And he was older than me. And at that time, I didn't know film school. Okay, what is that? But 18 months later, I was unhappy with the restaurant business. I just said it wasn't what I wanted to do. It's not my calling. There's still more that I want to do. And I run into him at the post office one morning, and he told me it was the best experience he ever had, that I should try it out. Now, I've always been creative, but I did not know how. I didn't know the rules of engagement. I didn't even know. I never seen anybody shoot a movie or TV show in New Jersey. It just never happened, right? And so he told me, check it out. I went home and I called the school, Film, Video, and Arts in New York City. Back then, there was no cell phones. Okay, so it's not like I could just look it up really quick and call. I had to go home, call them. They told me, "Well, come in and check it out and see if you really like it, um, and we go from there." I went the next day. I fell in love with the whole idea, and I signed up, and I went to film school, and I sold my restaurant. I got rid of the one in Harlem, and I got rid of the one in New Jersey. And from film school, eventually they give you equipment, a bunch of equipment for to finish your thesis. But by the way, while I was in film school, I made sure that I learned every aspect of producing, directing, writing, editing, you name it, so that I understand the whole process. And I took the equipment that they gave me.
So,
and
so let me stop. So before they gave you the equipment,
I was in school. I was trained.
you were still in school.
Yeah.
When you totally sold out that this is what I want to do.
Well, see, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a natural producer. It doesn't matter if there's something I'm involved in, I will go from beginning to end. So if I'm building a new house, I take the architect plans. And if I'm making a movie or series, I take the script. It's the same thing. It's the same mindset. It's the same rules of engagement. Script, I need to hire crew. I need electricians. I need framers. I need plumbers. I need roofers. I need people who install the windows. I need all of these different things. A script, I need the same thing. I need the electricians. I need the grips. I need the director of photography. I need all these different departments to make a vision come together and have a beautiful finished product. It's the same thing. Same rules, same skill set. So, but I'm a natural producer. I know how to problem solve. I know how to connect dots. I know how to execute. So I went to film school with that already. All I needed to know was the rules of engagement. And in fact, my cohort in school, I was the only one that finished my thesis. I was the only black guy in there.
Wow.
I was the only black guy in there. Not only was I only black guy, but I was the only one that finished his project. Everybody else ran into this excuse, that excuse. They couldn't figure this out and figure that out. And I liken it to the fact that I'm an entrepreneur. I know how to produce anything that I focus on. And so when I brought that film equipment back to Newark, New Jersey, no one in Newark, New Jersey saw a film be done before. So everybody wanted to be involved. Everybody was donating cars, donating food. I had the whole city behind my little project. And the rest is history. I took that finished product. I was the only one who finished it, but I added some behind the scenes. I added a music video, like a soundtrack, and I packaged it up on VHS. I don't know if I'm showing my age, but VHS was before DVD.
I can't view the time of VHS.
Yeah, so I took that, packaged it up, and put it out. And once I put that out, I realized there's a business model here. Then I did another project, and then another project. And then actually the film Dirty Game was the third. And that project became a cult classic to this day. It has its own cult following. Right. But that project got me into Hollywood. You see, that was my entry into Hollywood with that film. So I met so many people in the business, relationships I still have to this day, from running to Hollywood, trying to get a deal for that film, which I eventually did. So, it's just, and I'm still been on that same model. I like to take concepts that we can create and own and put the resources behind it and then put it out to the masses.
No, I love it. I love it because I think the mindset, especially as an entrepreneur, because a lot of filmmakers, people who call themselves filmmakers, it's tough just to say I'm a filmmaker. Because you're gonna make 2 or 3. It's even tough, and you fail with and then you give up because that filmmaking did not give you any. But if you have that mindset that you're talking about, I'm an entrepreneur right here. I'm gonna make sure that I'll continue to grow. Exactly. I'm gonna find ways. It's about a mindset. So I love it. So but when you started, your mind was not on banking on Hollywood, right?
No, I've always been so. Even to this day, I'm
Uh
in and out.
huh.
I never went into Hollywood to go and say, oh, to play the Hollywood game.
Hmm.
I never had an agent. I don't have an agent. I don't have a manager. I never have. All I need is a good lawyer. And in some cases these days, I've done so many deals, I don't even need that. But it depends.
Hmm.
But so my point is,
Hmm.
um,
Because
I'm in, but I'm out.
somebody, let me cut you off, because I have seen and I have worked with some people who went to LA, to Hollywood, and they were crushed. They
Yeah.
didn't have that mindset.
Well, they
I'm
crush.
talking about talented people, right? So
Yeah, I mean, dreams die there all the time, right? You know,
yeah.
you have people who fly out there and move out there, and and you're trying to get into a system that is, you got to know who's who. You have to have some connections. For me, because I'm an entrepreneur first, I went in there just to extract what I needed. I didn't go trying to get the ultimate deal and playing the Hollywood game. I don't. I to this day I don't. I if I go to LA, I can get any meeting that I need. Okay, I can get to anybody I need to get to, and then I leave. I don't have to stay in LA. I don't have to get an agent. I don't have to have a manager. I don't, because I'm coming from a business level versus just the creative level. The creative level, you don't know business. Because you don't know business, you need all these other people to help you marry creative with the business.
Mm.
So I'm a businessman who happens to be creative versus a creative. You see? So I mean, it's just how I approach it.
Right.
I'm always looking at how to strategize and position my company or whatever projects I'm trying to do in a way that is beneficial long term. And I'm also about IP ownership. Okay, so intellectual property, owning intellectual property, I think is significant. It's like the Michael Jackson's catalog, right?
Yeah.
Or the Beatles catalog.
Uh-huh.
You know, Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog at some point.
Right.
Somebody, Michael Jackson's catalog is still in his estate.
Right.
So he's gone, right?
Right.
God rest his soul, but he's gone.
Uh-huh.
But his estate still benefits from his catalog.
Mm.
So when you think about IP ownership, you have to think about it from the standpoint of how do I create something and own my creativity? If I had to explain it, use the music business as an example, it's the equivalent of owning your masters. We've heard those stories.
Mm-hmm.
An artist wants to own their masters.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you own your masters or you own your intellectual property, then you are able to benefit from your content, your creation 20 years down the line. You might still be relicensing something that you own, and you'll still make money from it. And if you die, your estate still owns your catalog of content that your family is still benefiting from.
I think
Versus,
Prince. I think Prince did that, right? Mm-hmm. Is it
I,
Prince? Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure of the whole Prince scenario, but
Okay.
I will say, typically in the business, the Hollywood business, you
Mm-hmm.
go, you take some content that you created
Mm-hmm.
or a concept, you go, you pitch it.
Mm-hmm.
If they say, yes, we want it, we're going to give you the money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Most creatives are happy because they get a check for the creativity, the writing or the rights. They get a
Mm-hmm.
check for if they're producing it or if they're the director or they're the writer. They get a
Mm-hmm.
check and they get a credit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Right.
good enough for them. And that might be fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not. It depends on how you want to approach this business and what works for you. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
telling you my point of view. So, but you don't benefit 20 years down the line from that content because the network, whoever financed it, owns it. You see? And even if you wanted to do another version of that same thing, you got to go back to the network and ask their permission. So you don't own anything. And for me as an entrepreneur, ownership is important. I want to think about what do I leave behind if case when I pass away, because none of us going to make it out alive, right? When I pass away, does my family still benefit? That's how I look at everything. So for me, I'm not too excited about taking a deal that just gives me a check. Now, when I mentioned to you, I'm 1 foot in and 1 foot out of
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood. What I mean by that is sometimes I might take a position or opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
maybe direct for something that I don't own.
Mm-hmm.
And in that
Yep.
case, what happens is that's good because it's a good opportunity to exercise working with other people where you don't have the final say,
Mm-hmm.
because you can be used to having the final say and not be able to work with other people.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And that's important to be able to work with other people in a collaborative way to get the best results and know how to compromise and position, as best as possible.
Right.
Um, but 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 you affiliate yourself with other brands. Like Ambitions is a good example of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't own that. My buddy Will Packer's project, and um, tied in through OWN Network and Lionsgate.
Mm-hmm.
I just came on to be a director for 2 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just one of maybe 7 directors, which was a great opportunity and a great
Of
great
course.
opportunity, great exercise, and
Mm-hmm.
great affiliation with, you know, other people who are doing great things, great networks,
Mm-hmm.
great studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is different. Man, I still have my stuff that I do with my own model that I explained to you. You see, so it's like a parallel thing. I do my thing, and then I also do certain things with the normal way.
Right. Wow. So I wanted to ask you when we were talking about ownership earlier on. I know Master P. What do you think about Master P? What
I
Master P
love
is doing?
Master P. I
Yeah.
love Master P. In fact, Master P was when I was in film school and I was doing my thesis.
Uh-huh.
Master P had just put out his movie, About It.
No.
While I was in school, I saw that and I was like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, wait till I finish my thing. I'm putting out myself the same way. So he's
Right.
actually
Right.
a big inspiration to me in terms of doing my thing in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still relevant. I mean, he has a great mind. He's a mastermind as well. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, I want to go back and because I think this is really really important. You touched on it a couple of times already. I want you to explain or expound on this on being a content creator as opposed to be just a filmmaker, because I think that's where I think we're going to help a lot of people here. And I also hear you talking about, if you have a phone, you can start something. It
with
doesn't have to be perfect right now, but continue to grow up. Somebody's going to say, wow, this, maybe I can work with this guy.
yes, technology.
Yeah.
Technology is at your fingertips now.
Hmm.
But let me back up before I talk about technology. You wanted to know why I don't use filmmaker.
Hmm.
Throughout my process, I've given you my mindset and my model. And in the past, I've tried to partner with filmmakers. So I have a business mind. I think differently, yet I'm partnering on certain things with filmmakers. And what you find is the mindset is completely different than the mindset of an entrepreneur, businessman,
Hmm.
because you're trying to raise money for this particular project.
Hmm.
And if the person that you're working with or the people that you're working with, if their only concern is getting into a film festival and seeing their name in lights and being able to say that my film was in Sundance or in Cannes, right? That is the greatest reward for them. Meanwhile, you've taken 1 million, 2 million, however much money from an investor or a group of investors. Now, investors think dollars and cents. You
Hmm.
pitch them on the idea that we're going to make this thing and make this project and we're going to make a profit and you're going to give you this kind of return. If you're not thinking about how important it is to not only make that money back, but make a profit, then you have failed the business, because it's a film and TV business, right? It's
Right.
not just the creative. So you failed your investors, and investors tend to talk to other investors. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 investors walking around the earth saying that they invested in film and TV or some kind of project, independent project, and they never got their money back, and no one has even given them a full report as to what the status is and what the game plan is to recoup the money but make some money.
Mm.
Meanwhile, the filmmaker is just in Sundance or Cannes, and that's all they care about. They don't really care about what happened to the investor. So if you think about it from the standpoint of, it's very important for me to make decisions that will make sure that we not only make the money back, but we make a profit. That mindset will be with you every step of the way, from pre-production, production, and post-production. That means who you put in the film, you are constantly thinking about the return and profitability of that project. The filmmaker, oh, I like this person. I just think they're great, but it doesn't support recouping the money, right? Every decision the filmmaker is making is more than less selfish or just from their creative eye. And meanwhile, the end product could be something that's not sellable or not marketable, or just puts the business of that project in a bad position. And so what I try to say is, words matter. And if everyone who's a filmmaker could embrace the idea that I'm a content creator or a content producer, that means I am in the business of creating and producing content. And as a producer, you have a responsibility to think about the business of the project. Now, you have some producers who are just for hire, meaning I can hire someone to work under me to just run the day-to-day, and it's not their problem to worry about the overall business of the project, just executing what's on the ground. But my job would be to make sure that I'm hiring the best people to get the best finished product. I'm positioning the project from pre-production to be something that's very marketable. So at the pre-production stage, the development stage, I'm already thinking of the exit strategy for the film or the sale, or how to best position it so that it's profitable and that everybody's happy. And if everybody's happy, then you can go ahead and come back to the table for something else. But when you burn the investors because you don't care about that, you just want to be a creative filmmaker, then you mess it up for everybody else that's coming along. Because one investor talks to another investor. Hey, Sonny, I'm thinking about investing in this film. What do you think about it? Oh no, I invested $100,000, $1 million into something, and these people never even. It's a bad business. So investors, they don't care if it's something that is morally good, and you can show them how they make a profit. They'll get behind it. But if you show them that you have no regard for the recoupment of the money or profit, then it's not actually a business. It's just a creative, artsy kind of thing that you want to do and express at the expense of someone else's money. So I say mindset is very important. Once you understand the mindset, you understand the business model, you go into this project with the proper exit strategy in mind. In order to know the exit strategy, every decision you make along the way has to make sense to support the exit strategy. So I just say, let's shift from filmmakers, because there's so many filmmakers running around. How do I get funding? How do I do this? And how do I do that? And then sometimes the wrong people get the opportunity, and then they just mess it up. They just mess it up, and they burn people, and therefore it messes it up for those who might be the right people to invest in. So I just like to promote, think outside the box. Think of this as a true business. Think of it as a true business, because it is. It's a very lucrative business to be in if you can understand it. And every shot that you get, you have to take advantage of it and make sure that you position yourself in properly so that you can go to the next project. Because it's not, this is one project, but think about 3 projects ahead. And once you build that community of people that give you a shot and that you properly took advantage of the shot that they gave you, and you cared about their well-being and the business around what you're doing, then the next shot is inevitable. And then the next shot after that, and the next one after that. Now you are a business.
This is a master class. That was really great.
Yeah.
That was good. I'm gonna go back and listen to this myself. I think this is really good. Let's talk about the inspiration behind the movie Love by Chance.
Love
you actually even decided to direct this movie.
Well, you know, that was a transactional piece. What do I mean by that? I have a format called Top Actor. I created an competitive acting reality show called Top Actor.
Is it the one that you were taking to Africa?
Yes, in Africa. Yeah, I did it in Africa.
Yeah.
But now I'm doing it in Asia, Middle East, and other places. It's a format. I own the format. Okay. That format, part of the reward is making sure that I position actors from the various seasons into something else. So everybody was on season 1 and season 2. A lot of them have gone off to be successful in their own right. They're all working one way or another in commercials and films and Netflix series and different things.
That's why you have this guy that you had in that season, Atandwa, right?
Atandwa worked with us in season 1. Altavis, the leading lady, she won season 1. There was another guy who was a finalist in season 1, and some other people from season 2. So I wanted to create an opportunity. Well, let me just back up. One of the things that the winners get is they were able to we positioned them to have international representation, an agent. And so they were coming to sign with an agency here in Atlanta. Okay. And so while they were here, I said, wait a minute. While we have them, we might as well make a movie while we have them that could support the Top Actor brand. So it was the first Top Actor sponsored movie. You understand? So Top Actor the film was just an extension of the series Top Actor. You understand? So that is how Love by Chance came along. And I'm all about bridging the gap. My mantra is bridging the gap through film, business, entertainment, sports, education between the US and Africa. Okay. So the film was a perfect opportunity to show storyline. You have some actors from South Africa who are trying to make it in America. You know, the main guy sleeps on his American friend's couch, and the other one, the family sponsored her to go try to make it, and they happen to meet, at an audition, and they have something in common. They are actors who are trying to make it, and they both happen to be from South Africa, and they both happen to like each other. And, so we wanted to explore that journey of trying to make it in a foreign land, right? And with all the cultural nuances between coming from South Africa to being here in Atlanta to just trying to make it in the industry. And then what happens if you get an opportunity? Do you become big-headed? What happens? So that's what that was about. And I thought it was a cute little story that we can pull off relatively inexpensively and quickly, and and that it will still have some meaning. And it also still will support the Top Actor brand. And that's what we were able to do.
Right. So that's how it came about.
So I directed it by happenstance because it was a small budget, and it was just like, why pay somebody else? I know what I'm going for. Let's just knock it out really quickly. So
wow. So now you with the top actor, you said now you're gonna be in Asia this coming.
Yeah, well, I own the format, so I'm having discussions with the format for Asia, the Asian market, the Middle East market, the U.S. market, and that's what it is. You see, business meets creativity. I come up with a model. I have a model. I come up with a concept that I can push through my model, and that's what it is. And at the same time, I'm playing my part in helping to elevate creatives in the content behind the scenes. You know how many people we skill up in Africa in terms of behind the scenes and shooting and internship, who then have moved up to paid work behind the scenes with us, to all of the talent in front of the camera who now have platforms, who now have the skill set to keep going forward in their careers. So it's infotaining, right? The format is infotaining. It's entertaining, but it's informative, and it creates jobs behind the scenes and jobs in front of the camera. And that's the beauty of that. So it's where passion meets purpose,
Right.
Passion. I love business. I love the creative process. I love putting deals together. And then my purpose is utilizing my talents and gifts to uplift other people. So that's where talent meets purpose.
Wow. That's wonderful. So let's talk about the love for Africa. The love for
That's a
Africa.
love story in itself. Writing a book.
You writing a book?
Yeah, I am. I've been toying with the idea, but there's so many things keep happening. I say to myself, I'm glad I didn't start that book, because now I have more stuff to add to it. But it's a love story.
You should, because I think if your book, I think you have a lot of stuff too. You have a lot of wisdom, really a lot of wisdom. I think that's what we're going to be looking for. But at the same time, you also now have a platform to have that book, circulate well. And I'm looking forward to that book.
Yeah. I mean, I say life is all about chapters, right? We all live in our book.
Right.
We all live in our book. And you look at these pivotal moments in time in your life that can serve as a chapter, a new marker for a new chapter. It's okay. I told you, being a barber to getting into real estate. Real estate was a new chapter. Then getting into the restaurant, new chapter. Then film school, new chapter, right? And then 14 years ago, my African chapter started. My Africa chapter started. I had an uncle, and my father's been in Africa. He speaks French fluently. My uncle has been working in Africa, U.S. government, in charge of developing trade relationships between developing nations in Africa and the U.S. So he's gone to Africa, I don't know, 300 something times. Every head of state has come through his office. So my first time going to Africa was 14 years ago. I went to 6 countries in 45 days, hosted by the heads of state of each of those countries.
Wow.
It changed my life forever, because I never, all I knew as it relates to Africa was whatever they showed us on television, which was all the negative things that you can imagine, right? There was HIV, there was some dictator, warlords and rebels, genocide, safari, Tarzan.
Right.
And that's what they showed us, right? They didn't show the beauty of Africa and all of the positive aspects. All they showed us were those things. Infomercials with starving babies, from midnight to 6 a.m. Your 5 cents, your 25 cents a day can feed this starving baby. So that is all they fed us. Okay.
Right.
So that was my only understanding of Africa until I went on that trip. And when I went on that trip and I said, wait a minute. So they lied to us. It was all a lie.
Right.
Maybe they only showed us these things so they can keep us from going back to Africa. and some of the most fantastic, most dynamic, most intelligent, some of the just most fascinating people I've met was somewhere in Africa.
Right. Right.
And it being a descendant of slaves, naturally, when I went to Africa, there was a spiritual instant connection. You see, so because it's a pencil that was broken in half
Mm-hmm.
400 years ago,
Right.
right? But
Right.
no matter what happens, the only thing that's a perfect fit is the other end of that pencil when you put it back together. You understand? So
Right.
when you put that pencil back together, it's a perfect fit. And that's what the connection for me back to Africa was. Spiritually, it's in my DNA. That's where I'm from. And when I did my DNA
Mm-hmm.
in recent years,
Uh-huh.
it makes sense because it can show you I'm from uh, Nigeria, Cameroon,
Uh,
Congo, and
uh,
a little bit of Ghana, a little bit of Togo, a little bit of
right.
Benin, some
Right.
Senegal, then Southern Bantu, right?
Right.
And you mix in a little of the slave masters from having relationships with the women, so you
Right.
have a little European in you, a small percentage,
Right.
but you have it, and it
Right.
just
Exactly.
adds up. When you look at it, it just makes sense. So
Yeah.
that's why when I go to Africa,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't matter the country. I feel at home in all of them.
Right.
You see, because it's in my system. In slavery, they mixed the slaves up. They didn't say you guys stay with Nigerians, stay with Nigerians. This one stay. They mixed them up.
Right.
They just kept breeding. We were mating and mating and mating, and that's how you would have so many different things in your blood. Whereas
Wow.
you might be able to say, I'm from Botswana, but people, you have a more concentrated, DNA as it relates to being from. I'm sure there wasn't actually a Botswana. I'm sure it was. They carved that out. Yeah.
Well,
So
mhm.
yeah. So it's just been. I've been going ever since. I've been to 16 different countries. Company in Ghana and South Africa, and I just love the idea of working with African Americans and people from Africa or the diaspora,
Mhm.
and finding positive ways to work together and collaborate
Right.
and use each other's strengths to do something on a larger scale. And that's what it's going to take, and that's what we have to keep looking at. I don't think anytime I hear people say, and this happens in South
Mhm.
Africa, this happens in Nigeria,
Mhm.
everybody's in their tribal mindset,
Mhm.
right? Where we have to do something for just us. But the world doesn't work that way now. The
Mhm.
world is big, and content can travel anywhere.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to tell great stories, but I also think it's important to figure out how to collaborate so that what your finished product has the ability to travel further. And from a marketing standpoint, you can get buy-in from different countries. And then people from those countries might be in a diaspora in the US, the UK as well. So that's more support that you get even outside. So whatever you are launching some kind of content, you
Mhm.
have a bigger footprint. You see? So if you're from Botswana, you want to make sure you collaborate with people from South Africa, Nigeria, US, or what have you, so that the story gets through. Because there's not enough
D-
Botswanans around the world to support something to make something the number one anything. If you're just servicing Botswanans,
Right.
does that
You
make
know,
sense?
to right. I totally, totally. To go to South Africa, just to cross the border to go to South Africa from Botswana, which is like an hour or so, just to go to South Africa and make it. It's a big thing. That's why people like Shona and Coney, when they were doing that, like they're huge, like because it's and I want to go back to your mindset vision, because when you go to Africa, you are not saying, hey, I'm just going to try to provide jobs for you. I'm bringing this mindset, you know, because this mindset so that you can create things yourself. You can create things yourself. But when people like you come and say, we want to collaborate, but this is the mindset right here, I think is really, really important. When I was growing up, nobody was teaching us about, that's why we still a lot of us, we still rely on maybe even the government, that the government can do something for us. The government is not going to do a whole lot. Politicians are not going to do a whole lot for yourself, for you. But if you have this mindset, you know what, I can do something and continue to pivot it and grow or improve it and be able to collaborate with other people, I think it will take me somewhere. I didn't mean to
100%.
cut you, but I think that's
No, no,
what.
no, 100%. I think entrepreneurship is the future. It
Mhm,
is, because if you spend your time
mhm,
waiting for government to do anything, and
mhm.
I'm not bashing anybody's government, but
Right.
politics are is a tricky business in any country.
Mhm,
Okay, no one's gonna come down. You can pray all you want. Nothing's gonna fall out the sky and save you. Government is not a magic bullet. You have to put you have to focus your energy and go for what you're trying to do. And then maybe people will support you along the way. Maybe the government can see what you're doing. Maybe there's some incentives to make your road a little easier, but you have to go out and start moving that train forward yourself. Through that, you're creating other jobs and you're inspiring other people. So you're having a direct effect on people doing better.
mm,
So you're creating some jobs along in your own small capacity.
mhm,
You're inspiring others. You are giving other people dignity, right?
mhm,
Which is contagious. Okay. And
mhm,
so if you think of it from the standpoint, okay, I'm going to do this. Maybe the government has some different incentives that I can look into that could be supportive along the way, but I'm going to move forward first. But we can't sit around and we can't pray our way into something. You pray, don't get me wrong, but you have to put the work in. You have to put the work in. You have to put your best foot forward. And when you do that, other people see you doing that. They come along. No one wants to be left out. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
Mindset is everything.
Mm,
Psychology is everything.
mhm,
No one wants to be left out. If you know no one wants to be left out, start moving your train. And people are going to say, where's the train going?
mm.
I don't know, but it's going out of here. And they want to get on that train. You see? So that's very important. So I like to say mindset shift once again. Forget. Don't spend your time worrying about government and complaining about government. I don't care
Mm,
what country you're in.
mhm,
Government has a lot going on. They're trying their best. Okay? Do what you need to do. Be the CEO of yourself and your family, and find like-minded people and synergize on how to do something greater. And then maybe the government has some support with different things that when they see you're doing it, maybe they can come on board and do this or that. But don't sit there and complain and wait for them to do it.
love
You
it.
cannot wait for anybody to do it. And nothing's going to just fall out the sky and change your life. You have to have a plan. You have to have a way forward. You have to have a strategy. And you have to move forward. So I would say that first and foremost. That, and then you made another point. I can't remember what you said, but I wanted to comment on it.
Mm,
But I just wanted to work backwards from
mm,
the mindset of, you know, nobody's helping me. And yes, technology. That's the other
mhm,
thing.
mhm.
So
Okay.
this phone,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm.
it shoots 4K,
Right.
HD, 4K, whatever you want to do, 24 frames, 30 frames, 60 frames. It does
Mhm.
all of that. The microphone is good. The picture looks great.
Right.
If you have a story and you have something that you want to show your creative prowess, then you can take that camera and shoot a proof of concept, if not an entire project, but at least you can demonstrate what you're capable of and what your story would look like. And that's even helpful when it comes time to present that to a network, present that to financiers, present that to whomever, because you've demonstrated that you know what you're doing. If you have
Right.
a bit more money, you can really take it to the next level. But you've also shown that you are able to move the train. And again, no one wants to be left out. No company wants to be left out. if they believe in what you're doing. So it's your job to make them believe in what you're doing. You see? And that's what I would say. Mindset is everything. Don't look for a handout. Figure out your game plan. You have this at your disposal. It doesn't cost you anything but some data or some battery life or whatever the case may be to tell your story. That could be a 2-minute story, a 5-minute story. And guess what? Then you have the internet. You have the internet. You have YouTube. You have Instagram. You have all these different things where people are taking their phone and making zillions of dollars. I can't tell you how many people who I know who have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 million followers from building a career off their phone. And now they're making money hand over fist through advertisers who want to promote the little sketches that they do or the little short things that they post. You know, and making 20,000, 10,000 a week, you know, just off of ads from their phone. No agent, no manager, no Hollywood. And now guess what happens? They have so many followers that Hollywood comes knocking at their door. Wait a minute, this guy is funny, or this girl is funny, or she's this, or he's that. And look at all the followers that they have, and they're very talented. Let's put them in this, let's offer them this role. Let's make them audition for this role. If they audition and do good, we'll hire them. Because now we have a built-in, when it's time for this project to come out, they can tweet about it or post about it on Instagram and tap into their 6 million viewers. That's where the development and thinking of the end game comes from. And so I'm telling you what the end game looks like and how you think about, you strategically think about who you put in certain things. Sometimes you don't want to overkill it and just put somebody in something because they have followers and they suck. I hope that they're talented. So you marry followers with talent, you place them strategically, and at the same time, and you surround them with, bona fide actors, right?
Right.
But at the same time, what I'm saying is, that's how you think about it from a product standpoint. But as a creative, I'm telling you what's happening right now with the power of your phone and social media. It's bypassing. It's bypassing so much hard work that, think about the music industry. You had the elders, the veterans in the game who should be multi-millionaires, but they may not be. And then you have these young people that come out with a song or two, and they make more money now than these people who've been in the business 20, 25 years. Because technology has allowed them to bypass, and they no longer need a record label and have to sign a deal to get peanuts for every song that's sold, and the record label keeps the majority of it. Now they can make a song, put it on Spotify, put it on Apple Music or whatever the case may be, or TikTok, and all that money goes to them. They just take a fee for Apple takes a fee, Spotify takes whatever. But they bypass the need to have a record label. So it's the same concept. Now with YouTube and all these other things, you can bypass the need to go to Hollywood and get a deal and this, that, and a third. You can build your audience, have a YouTube channel, build your audience, have millions of subscribers, and that translates into you making money through YouTube. Then that would translate into a network or a streaming platform or somebody knocking on your door and saying, hello, we love what you're doing. We actually would love to give you an opportunity to do your own thing on our platform. That's how it works. That's the era we're in right now. So once you understand that, there's no reason to be talking about how do I get into the industry? How do I find this and that? You have all the tools in the world at your disposal that I didn't have in my throughout my journey, but I try to keep up with the times, and I understand it now. But I'm saying I come from an era where you had to actually have what we used to call the street team. You used to have flyers and posters, and you had to drive every event across the country and have your street team handing out flyers and putting up posters, and that's how we used to have to do it.
Yeah,
Hand-to-hand
I
combat.
worked as a street team in the street team
It was
myself when I was in
hand-to-hand
the Lens.
combat back then. Now you got drones, right? You just fly over. You don't
So.
just fly over. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and
But
and and
it's
and,
very
and
important not to. It's just very important for your audience to know. You have to change the way you think. Do not think about anybody coming to save you and give you a shot. Take your shot. That is the key. You have to take your shot. Take your shot, and people will watch you taking your shot. Win or lose, they'll respect you for taking your shot, and then they will want to be a part of your next shot. Move the train.
move the train. I love it. And the other example that you would like to give, I've listened to you a couple of times, is Issa Rae. Like how he started in
Well,
just
that's a good
YouTube.
example. She's a great example. She had her own YouTube channel.
Right.
That's a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Her own YouTube channel. She
Mm-hmm.
built a following, and they came knocking on her door, or it was easier for her to get a shot on a bigger platform. And her series is still going strong.
Right. Let's go back to the Kings of Jobek, because we can talk about, and I'd like to talk about you with you more about that, about Africa as a whole. We can talk about Zanzibar, we can talk about Uganda, um, with Tanzania, Nigeria, and Ghana. But let's go back to Kings of Jobek.
Okay.
How did this whole thing start? Did they call you and say, "Hey, Samad, we know you've been doing this. We know your mindset. We know that you can get us somewhere. Let's collaborate."
No. It didn't happen that way. Not at all. It didn't happen that way.
Okay.
So I was at the power of social media. I was for some time following Connie. Connie was following me, Connie Ferguson, and you have certain people that you build a rapport with. You watch and support what they're doing, and they watch and support what you're doing. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, well, we need to meet and discuss what we can do together at some point. So I was actually close to Connie first. And through Connie, I was able to meet Shona. And we just sat down and just said, hey, here's what I'm doing. And they said, here's what we're doing. So I love this question. And I ask everybody this question. Anybody that you think is successful, they always want to go somewhere else. Or there's always something that's the next chapter for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if they're successful or not. You ask people this question. This is just my own thing.
Okay.
And I think asking that question is what has allowed me to experience new chapters throughout life. When you meet people, you ask them, well, what's next for you?
Mm-hmm.
What's next? Because you can, in their case, they're the most successful TV producers in South Africa. They had countless hit shows. And from my side, I'm a rebel, and I'm doing stuff independently, and then bringing it into Hollywood. So what's next? And he said, well, I have this project I'm very passionate about that I created. And he actually shot the pilot already, the first episode. So, but the other episodes were not done. And I said, wow, it sounds fantastic. And, I'd love to read and see the pilot. And, I'm working with Netflix, and I think it could be a great opportunity if everything is great to take this to the next level and take it internationally. And that was something that was new for them, because everything was South Africa, maybe Botswana, you guys get it too, but having your work be seen across the world was a new chapter for them, right?
SABC is the biggest in South Africa.
Yeah, you get to a certain point as an actor. They are actors as well, and producers as well, and entrepreneurs as well. You want to be able to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
and get your stuff seen on a global level and be recognized in Hollywood as well. So that was I mean, we just hit it off all together, and it
Mm-hmm.
was okay. Here's what I bring to the table. Here's what you bring to the table. Um, I see no reason why we can't get this done, and that's what we were able to do.
Yeah.
And that's the power of finding like-minded people. When you can find like-minded people, people who are very business-minded but also creative, can go a long way. And that's why that relationship works so well and
But
continues.
you also had to like the story, though, right? That did they
No, I
pitch
like the
this?
story. No, the story resonated right away.
Mhm.
The pilot resonated right away. And it was just like, okay, we can really go to the next level with this. We can have some real fun with this thing here. Let's do it, you know?
Right.
And so to see that project become so successful, it's a beautiful thing because it also falls into my personal mandate, which
Mm-hmm.
is bridging that gap and collaborating with people, right,
Mm-hmm.
in Africa
Mm-hmm.
too. So in South Africa, we included Nigeria into it. We included some black people from Hollywood, from the U.S. into it, and then we were able to put something out that Nigeria also loved, Africa loved, the U.S. loved, Jamaica loved, the U.K. loves. Everybody loved it, you know. And that is that is the blessing, the true blessing, because we I go back to our initial conversation, talking about this opportunity that we can do together, and but we talked about it with the end game in mind,
Mm-hmm.
which is in line with what I've been saying to you.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about it, like this is how I can see the end and how this thing works and how we can get it out to all these places and possibly position it for a new season. And so that's what we were able to achieve, and I think that is the real sign of success for all of us.
I'm looking
I'm
forward.
looking forward.
I'm looking
I'm
forward
looking forward
to season
to
two.
season two.
Because I binged on.
Yes, yes, we're working on it. We're working on
Okay.
it.
So you're gonna be going back like beginning of the year or something like
Yes,
that.
yes. It's unfortunate. Our dear brother passed away, as you know, and we were in the midst of it. We were about to
Yeah.
start that, and so we had to rewrite everything. And we all decided, keep the legacy alive, to push it forward. Still, you understand? So,
Mm.
Connie, myself, all the crew, Netflix has been very supportive, extremely supportive. And it's just a matter of being able to say, hey, we have something good here. We want to keep the legacy alive. Um, so we're moving forward with it.
Hopefully, I can be part of the crew myself. But um, how was it to work with Shona, though? I mean, like he's such a lovable person.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we're so much alike. So
yeah,
it's an easy fit.
I think so.
Strong-willed person,
Mm.
very creative, very talented, full of integrity. Um, just easy to deal with. A straight shooter too.
Mm.
If it's bad news, he'll tell you.
Mm.
You don't find people like that. And I think you want to find people who, when you click, you gel. You guys are vibrating on the same frequency, and you both have integrity. You both, not just both, because Connie's involved too. We It's a labor of love that helps so many other people elevate as well behind the scenes. So when the show is successful,
Mm.
the directors are successful, the writers are successful, the art department is successful, the stunt crew is successful, the
Mm.
actors are successful.
Mm.
Everybody's successful because they played their part in being
Mm.
being involved in something that was successful, that went international. So they all can say, hey, I worked on this or that, and this was international. So they all can go and get bigger jobs.
Mm.
All of the actors can go and have meetings in LA for representation with agents and managers because they also benefit because they did something that's on one of the biggest platforms in the world, and it was successful. So our success is everyone's success. And so you go back to the first meeting when we say we're going to do something that can be a game changer and elevate so much. It goes back to my same business model of bridging the gap and being value added. And I'll say this: my uncle, God rest his soul, one time we were in Ghana. This is not the first trip. I was coming back ever since. Since 14 years ago, I'm back and forth. This is my life. Back and forth. One time it was just me and him, and I was in Ghana.
With show.
No, my uncle.
Oh, your uncle. Okay.
Brought me into
Right.
This is a particular trip. It's me and him. We're in Ghana, and we're waiting to get picked up. For the driver to pick us up to take us to wherever we were going. And on the TV was some music videos, and I thought they were horrible at the time. I said, "Wow." It looked like it was music videos from the 80s in America. And I complained about it. And he said to me, well, don't complain about it. Do something about it. He said, you're here enough. And he said, I assure you that the brothers and sisters in Africa would love to collaborate with you because that's your background as well. So be value added, he said. And that stuck in my head. And that's when I said, because I wasn't there initially for film and television. I was there with other business. But I was back and forth. And I said, it just makes sense. I forgot it is my background. I went to school for this stuff. I've done some projects in America. Why don't I help be part of elevating? And so what I started doing was doing music videos for the top artists in Ghana. I did one for one artist, and then the next artist tells the next artist, and next thing you know, the whole country's like, the Americans in town. The Americans are in town. So we did all these videos, music videos. But I had a crew behind the scene, the locals that was with us every step of the way, that we passed that knowledge and we passed the knowledge and skills to. So we won all these awards, the music video award season. We won all these awards. And what it did was it made the local directors step their game up. Now, my goal was not to be the dominant music video director, but I just wanted to inject some upgrades to the system. And that's what we did. And I remember one award show, they called us up 6 times. It was embarrassing after the 3rd time because it felt like we were being greedy and, keep going up there accepting awards. It was embarrassing. And I remember the 5th award that we went up there to collect. I had to stand backstage before going back to my seat. And they called another category. And his other director, who's local, who I knew, he won an award for something else. And so him and his crew was so excited. Right. And I was standing backstage, and I heard one of them say, yeah, at least the Americans didn't take that too.
Oh.
And I said to myself,
oh no,
that's not what I wanted. You understand? Right. But I had to stay on stage because the final award for the night, we won that too.
Oh.
Started to go back out there. But afterwards, I was able to get out of that space and let them have it, and watch. So now everybody has to step it up. You can no longer do the videos the way you were doing it before. This is the new level. And that was a good feeling. Not to win the awards, but to just be part of helping to elevate. And some of the guys who work behind the scenes with us, they've gone on to make hit TV shows and be very successful in Ghana. You understand? So that is what it's all about for me. And that always brings me back to what my uncle said to me. So Kings of Joburg brings me back to what my uncle said to me.
I'm glad you went there.
I'll always go back to that. Don't complain about it. Do something about it. Be value added. Be value added.
Be value added.
Be value added. So whatever I get involved with, I always say, okay, here's the value I can add. If I can't add any value to it, I don't need to be a part of it. Because I have to be able to add value. And anybody you work with needs to be able to add value to whatever you're doing.
For
If
your
no,
own, for your benefit, for your benefit.
no matter what you're doing, if you're getting involved with somebody else, project, something else, if you cannot add value and they can't add value, what's the point? Now, when I say add value, I'm not just talking about you make some money. You know, if you do good work and you be consistent at what you do, money will come. Okay? So when I say be value added, it's not a matter of, I'm not just talking, I don't want anybody to just think I'm talking money. I'm saying if I'm going to give you, if I'm going to invest my life force, because energy, I'm giving my energy to a project and I have to deal with all these people that's involved with that project. And I have to answer phone calls and emails and whatever the case may be every day for a project. That is me spending my energy force into something. I should only do that if I can be value added. And if I'm going to spend my energy force on this project or with these people, those people in that project should also add some sort of value to my life. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Wonderful.
So that's just very important to understand that. But again, everything goes back to be value added. I'll never forget that quote.
No, that's wonderful. You know, that's why I think you know, what you imparted in Ghana and in other parts of South Africa, you know, is actually growing. It's more like an essence of Ubuntu, you know.
Ubuntu, that's what it is.
Right.
So I mean, it's not just South Africa. I mean, Kenya and,
Yeah,
and all these places that I'm working with people. I just looked for the. It doesn't matter where you're from. What matters is your integrity, your heart, your spirit, and alignment. Because if those things are not in play, I don't want any parts of it.
Right.
You know.
Right. Woo. This has been good. This has been good. You know, as you were talking, because my mind is just like going all over as I'm absorbing this, and I'm thinking about all these powers that sometimes they come to Africa, right? But instead of adding value, even though they say they're adding value, but it's for their own benefit because they're taking the raw material, maybe they, you know, putting value outside. So basically, the added value is outside. It's not benefiting the local folks. But what you are doing is actually benefiting the local folks as a partnership.
Yeah, so everybody you have to add value. I don't care if it's a mining company extracting or doing something. If they are creating jobs, if they are providing infrastructure for the community around, or school, water, power, then what's the problem? They're creating jobs. They're adding value to the lives of other people. In exchange, they also have whatever commercial opportunity they have for whatever they're doing. It's fine as long as you're also adding value. If you're not adding value and you're just taking, then that's when it's a problem. Because that means you don't care about what you're doing. You just give me what I want and I'm out. And you leave a place all messed up. You don't care about the children in the community. You don't care about the families in the community. You don't care about any of those things. That's when it's a problem. But again, that's why I tell you, everybody must bring something to the table. Everybody must be value added. And if you're not, then that's when it's a problem. But if you go with the mentality of being value added, I bring this to the table, you bring that to the table. This is how it benefits you, this is how it benefits me. And this is how it can be sustainable, and we all keep our word, and things move forward. When you understand that, then it changes the narrative. Again, that's why I say I don't like people talking about they won't let black people do this and that in Hollywood, or the government won't allow us to do this. The government's not doing anything, or they just taking. Mindset shift. Understand. Once you understand that, those things don't become. They're not in the forefront of your psyche. You are moving forward and trying to see how you can be value added to whatever you're doing and the people around you. And that's what it's about for me.
I love it. This interview, we're going to be listening to it in the next 5, 10, 15 years, because this is classic message that doesn't, gets depleted or
No,
degenerate.
no, I appreciate it, man. I just think we're in a time right now where no one's been through this time before. We're in a very unique time. We're living through so many transitions from technology to so many things are happening at the same time.
Mm,
And we cannot go through life with the same mentality that we've had prior. You know, life is short, life is precious. It's really about what do we do while we're here in the physical form. What do we do with our dash? You know the dash, right?
mhm,
Born this time, died this time. What's happening in here? You know, did you do anything to help and be value added? Did you make an impact? Did you inspire somebody else? Did you inspire somebody else to make the impact? What did you do? And that's what it's about. And once we understand that, then it just changes your perspective on how you move. And that's why I'm talking the way I'm talking right now from a standpoint of, I've seen a lot of tragedy in my life. I've seen just a lot of things. And then I also experienced a lot of great things. And I've seen the good, the ugly, the bad in people, and I think a lot of us think we're going to live forever. And so we, we, we move in a way that is very selfish.
mhm,
We move in a way where we're trying to accumulate and obtain
mhm,
at the sacrifice of others because we want all these things. And then when you realize none of us are going to make it out alive,
mm,
that's a fact, right?
mhm.
You only have a certain amount of time on this earth. We don't even know, we're not even guaranteed that, right?
Right.
Okay. So once you understand that, you understand that money is just a tool, right? A tool, it helps you do certain things. It's a tool. But at the same time, the one thing that you can control is your free will and your ability to make an impact. And it doesn't take money to make an impact. You can make an impact on somebody by giving a person that looks not so happy a good smile. And that might light their life up. You just never know. So making an impact is not money related. It's just what can you do to be value added? You know? I tell you, one thing I learned traveling around Africa, I would do this.
Mhm,
Where I'm from, unfortunately,
mhm,
unfortunately, people don't speak to each other.
mhm.
If you speak to somebody, the average person would think that that person, once they speak to you, greet you back, that you're going to ask them for something. So it's like you see somebody say hi, and they say hi. You say hi to that person, then that person says, "Oh, I was wondering, my car broke down. I was wondering if I can get $20." So where I'm from, people don't, right? But
Right.
in the South, where I'm at now, strangers speak to you. You ride through the neighborhood, everybody's just waving to each other. It's a different thing, right? But when I started going to Africa, I would see people on the side of the road, or I passed by somebody who's sitting in front of something, and they may have a face, they may look at you crazy. They might,
Right.
right?
Right.
But then I smile and say hi, and then they light up. Ah! And I would do that everywhere I go to this day. And I realized that person might be having a bad day or might think that I look down on them, which I don't. But that little smile and acknowledging them make an impact to them and maybe brighten their day up, which can send them in a good direction for something else. So, bottom line is make an impact. And that's what we need to do now. We just need to all do better. We know better. Financial literacy is important. Education, not in the traditional sense of, some fancy degree, but I think once you know reading,
Mhm,
writing, comprehension, basic math, then the rest you need is life skills. maybe a trade, maybe conflict resolution, financial literacy, mentorship, understanding entrepreneurship. These things are not in school. Get the fundamentals and then learn, seek knowledge on things that are moving in the direction where the world is going right now. Digital, crypto, things that are just like bypassing and disrupting everything.
Yeah, I don't want to, start another thing with.
No, I'm just.
No. I'm just saying that I have more questions as far as cryptos and NFTs are concerned, because you mentioned how musicians and artists
Oh
can.
yeah, well I'm involved in NFT now, so I'm working with a company that we are doing. It's called Melanated NFT. So we are working with artists in the music space, in the film and TV space, in the fashion space, whether it's a artist who paints. We are in that space, and we are now able to create a whole new revenue stream for the arts.
I love it.
So that's where the direction of things are going. We have some things that's going to be released on NFTs, some movies that's going to be directly released on NFTs. Albums are being released on NFTs as NFTs. So all of this stuff is full circle, because that's why I say, see, a filmmaker would not care to understand that. A filmmaker's mentality. You won't try to dissect that. But see, a content creator, content producer wants to understand that, because this can be a new way to monetize, fund, and or monetize their finished product. So now you can go to an investor and say, listen, oh, we sold this, we made it for this, we sold it as an NFT, we made this, and we get, every time that thing is sold, we get this revenue. That's a great business case to make. That means you can make more and more content. That means you don't have to go to a network or broadcaster to say, give me money for this. You have a model that works. So it's a game changer. It's a game changer. So that's where I say, understand, think out the box, think as an entrepreneur, think as a business person, and then put the creative behind it. So,
that's wonderful.
Add that to the point.
I just did an interview with this guy. He's probably one of the top painters from Africa. Probably
we need to know him, because that's an NFT. He's a whole
exactly. So I'm gonna connect. Definitely. Hard work pays. I saw a couple of weeks ago. We're about to wrap up. You had some awards for the movie, for the series Kings of Joburg.
Yes.
Can you talk to that as far as, as maybe even talk to the South African folks and the Botswanian folks?
Well, yeah, hard work is great. Hard work and dedication, consistency. Because you can work hard, but be working hard in the wrong direction. Game plan, consistency, hard work, dedication. Yes, we won 3 awards. Best Actor in the African series, Shona Ferguson, Cindy also won Best Actress, and then we won Best TV Series Drama, Africa for Kings of Joburg. Yes, so that was a very, very special night, because it's full circle once again. Because remember, initially we talked about doing this project, making it global, finding a global audience, and actually allowing Hollywood to understand actors from South Africa and recognize them. And then to see our brother Shona get recognized and win for his work as an actor in the series, in Hollywood, it's incredible. You had all the media, the media there, a theater full of people, and he's recognized. And that is be value added. That is hard work and dedication from his point of view. He would tell a story that people doubted him as an actor. They doubted him as an actor. and he made his way and created his own stuff, and became who he is. And but people didn't fully respect him. You know, that's something story that he shares and Connie shares. So to see you go far above and beyond those who doubted you, and into the international space, and be recognized, it's another full circle moment. You see, so.
Mm-hmm. So, so I want to ask you a question. I know we're wrapping up right now, my brother. Thank you for the time that you have given us here today. I want to know, when I was still back home, Connie was in this show called Generations, and I was like, man, this woman, she's super talented. From your own perspective, Samad, how talented is Connie? I mean, there's a lot of talented,
Extremely
actors.
talented. Extremely talented. She's an actress. She's extremely talented.
Yeah.
Very, and just a beautiful soul. I mean, you talking both of them. You're talking very special energies.
Hmm.
It's not every. Those are not everyday people, and I'm not talking about from a fame standpoint or fortune standpoint. I'm talking about just in basic human fashion. Very, 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 very special people. You can
Yeah.
see it in how they impact the lives of so many other people, and the loyalty from those people speaks volume as to the type of people they are. Again, you have some people who are maybe super rich,
Hmm.
strip them of their money, they jump off a building. No one loves them. No one cares about them. It's transactional because they have money. When you have people who are loved and respected, no matter what, money, no money, because they are at their core good human beings. And that's special. In this world, you're more likely to find people who don't have integrity, people who are, just not good human beings than you are to find those good human beings. And we all, I mean, I hate to say somebody's bad, but I mean, just not in line with the best version of themselves, rather. How about that? That's better.
Right.
Um, and nobody's perfect, right? None of us.
Nobody's perfect.
We're all
Yeah, of
flawed.
course.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, Connie and Sean are very special people, very very special people, and they're not. There's not a. You don't just run into those people often.
Very special people indeed. I was going to ask you about how the people here in the diaspora can work with the continent, but you have covered it through how you explaining things through the mindset. I think you have covered that part. Um,
I would add something.
uh-huh.
What I would add is before anybody can think about jumping in and doing any kind of business,
Mhm.
I think that the diaspora needs to reconnect with Africa, needs to reintroduce themselves into the continent
Hmm.
and travel and understand because how many times you hear people say Africa, they might be talking about their one country that they know.
Hmm.
They make a blanket statement for Africa,
Hmm.
and every country is different. People look different, the culture is different, the energies are different, it's all different, right? But when you start to travel and share a meal with different people in different countries and different, you get to know people in the basic form, first and foremost, before you rush to jump into any kind of business. Because what happens is there's so many little nuances that can disrupt the relationship.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. Growing up in America, I'm taught to look a man in his eye and
Hmm.
shake his hand firmly.
Uh-huh.
That's the American way,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
When I went to Africa,
Uh-huh.
that can backfire. different parts of Africa, West Africa, you'll find, different versions of the snap. You'll find that Liberia is this way, Ghana is this way, this one is
right, right.
and you might not get a firm handshake. You might get something that's a little softer and just a little bit. And it might be a powerful person. It might be somebody else. It might be whomever. But the handshake is not what you're taught.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that handshake can disrupt the whole relationship because the initial engagement, the person in Africa or a particular country might believe I'm being arrogant. I'm trying to show dominance and I'm trying to show I'm stronger. And with all the American baggage that comes with being America, the perception would be I'm trying to dominate.
Right.
Me being from America, I look at it differently, and I look at it as if it's disrespectful that he's giving me such a weak handshake. It feels like he doesn't want to give me a handshake, or it's a sign of disrespect from where I'm from. So just on an introduction, we both disrespected each other from a handshake. You understand?
I understand.
But meanwhile, you're trying to do some business, but we both feel disrespected because we didn't spend any time understanding the culture, the differences, the nuances. And that's why I say, before you decide to jump into business with anybody, you should get to know them first. Break some bread with them. Understand what makes them work, what makes them tick. Understand the environment you're trying to do business with and the mentality of the people you're trying to do business with. And when you can get that done first, then you have a more, a more prosperous, I would say, relationship. So, I just don't think you can just drop people from the diaspora and just drop them off in parts of Africa and start doing stuff. It would be chaos. It would be chaos. But properly, with the right guidance and the right understanding, it can happen. Because we're dealing with hundreds of years of oppression and baggage and trauma that we haven't dealt with from the American side, slavery, the Caribbean side, slavery, we get dropped off everywhere. And then colonialism in different parts of Africa from the Francophone to the English speaking to the Portuguese speaking to the, the German speaking. We all have our trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
I understand. Yeah.
We all don't know each other because even within Africa, everybody's in their country and no one's integrating, and then you take diaspora and you add that to the equation and it's a mess. So there's a process to getting that right.
And
I think it's a conversation.
That's really wonderful. That's wonderful. My brother, your message of hope.
I hope is so far away. Hope is so vague. Hope is very vague. I think it's a will thing. Will things into existence. Do it. You do it. If you hope, it gives room for something to fall out the sky, somebody to give you a chance. I don't like to use the word hope. Like I don't like the word filmmaker. Again, because it's you think about it. I hope this happens. I hope that happens. It's out of your control. Naturally, God is in control. But if you're doing things in the right direction and you're moving forward, again, that train is moving. Even God says, you do this, you take one step, I'll take 10, right? Same concept. You've heard that before, right?
I heard that before.
Okay, same concept. So hope lends itself to an old school mentality to me. It lends itself to having room to blame something for not happening, because you hope it happens and you're waiting for third parties to do something. Now, I don't mean to sound arrogant. I'm just saying you have to be able to take matters into your own hands as best as possible with integrity, without trying to step on anybody else, and move that train forward. If you move that train forward, others will follow. Blessings will follow. The clear your intentions properly of what you're trying to do, understand the end game of what you want to do, and understand if you're ever so blessed to achieve those things, that you will do the right thing and help other people along the way. So hope, I don't know where hope fits into that. I know,
ladies and gentlemen,
I know that's strange, and I don't know if I hope people don't take that the wrong way. That's out of my control. But I'm telling you what my philosophy is and what I believe through trial and error. I can hope somebody does something for me all day long. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Or I can make a plan and go out there and execute my plan and find like-minded people who appreciate my plan and do it. That's the difference between hope and doing it. So nobody's going to save us. Nobody's going to, there's no need. We don't have to rely on any government to implement what I was saying about collaborations. You don't have to wait for the government. Nothing has to fall out the sky to be able to talk to Sonny from Botswana or Connie from South Africa or somebody in Nigeria or somebody in Jamaica. I don't have to hope to do that. I can try to do it. Hopefully they will want to come on board. If they don't, somebody else will. So got to use hope in the right direction. I don't want to sit around and hope anything. And neither should anybody else.
Faith without works is dead. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard him. This is the interview you've been waiting for. My brother, Samad Davis. Thank you, my brother.